Diving into a new report, are software developers' jobs dying? So today we're tackling this burning question that's on every tech professional's minds. Are software development jobs dying? The headlines are swirling around with talks of layoffs, hiring freezes, and AI automation taking over. But is it all doom and gloom, or are we just seeing the natural ebb and flow of a maturing industry? So stick around because we're breaking down some trends, looking at some graphs, then myths, and why software development is one of the best career paths still out there. So let's dive in today. Welcome to Startup Pack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Pack, we train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. So today we're diving into the data, cutting through the noise, and uncovering the truth about the future of software development jobs. Now, let's dive right in, because this starts with the elephant in the room, the big tech hiring freeze during COVID-19. When money was cheap and interest rates were near zero, companies went on a hiring spree, overstaffing to meet skyrocketing demand for digital solutions. Now, as interest rates climb, the job market has corrected itself, and we've all felt the pinch a bit, right? I know that this is something that everybody's felt at this point if you've been anywhere near tech, even in other industries, but especially in tech. This isn't unique to tech. It's happening all over across the industries. Developers, don't panic. The bubble did burst just a little bit, but the market is resetting itself, and now is a really great time to dive into the industry. So if you map software development jobs against interest rates, you'll notice a very clear path, and I'll show you some graphs here in just a second. As rates rose, hiring slowed, and then layoffs increased. But here's the kicker. The baseline demand for software developers has remained steady when you strip away the COVID-era hiring spike. Entrepreneurs and developers, this is a lesson in resilience, so adapt to the market without losing sight of the long-term picture. Let's dive into some of these charts here that I've got for us, because I think we're going to see some really telling things. Let me get it switched over here. So I'm sure everybody's seen this chart, because this is one that has really scared everybody. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, software development jobs are going away, right? Now we're going to dive into this just a little bit here. So this is Indeed that we're using for hiring Indeed. And so let's read really closely here, because I'm going to dig into a lot of this. Software development job postings on Indeed in the United States. So it's looking for jobs that are software development, okay? Now, one of the first things that I will point out is they're setting like a baseline here at 100. I would actually argue that going into 2020 anyways, we were already still experiencing a bit of a tech bubble. The hiring, if you look to the left of the graph, you'd still see a very steep incline coming into this. So where it's trying to establish that this 100 here is kind of the baseline, we did see a drop when COVID hit, right? Everybody felt that there was a lot of panic, there was layoffs, people weren't really sure what to do. Some people in some areas had to quit in order to be able to stay at home. A lot of different things happened. And then the craziness went, right? Because Fed slashed interest rate. And if you overlay the interest rate graph over this, you'll see that as money became free, everybody hired. And by everybody, I mean the big seven. I mean, everybody hired as fast as they could. It was a land grab. I remember the company that I was at, there were 16 open tech positions, dev positions that we literally could not fill. We were paying $120,000 a year for software developers coming out of college with no experience. I mean, it was ridiculous. Then we saw reality set in, and interest rates started to go up. And as the Fed started to raise interest rates, immediately you see this drop in this curve. And this is where people started to get really, really scared. Now, what I'm going to do on here that I want to show you is we're going to zoom in to just since July of last year. Now, this looks, and people still are like, wow, that's still a really scary curve, right? Because we're still seeing it drop from, now again, this, is kind of that baseline that we were talking about before, the 100, right? This is what it's working off of. So you've actually seen it relatively flatten out. And if you really zoom this in just to this year, actually you will see, and if you zoom in just into this year, you're going to see it stay relatively. Now it is dropped, and there's been some up and downs over the year with various different things. But the job report that actually just came out this morning showing that jobs are starting to tick back up. Now, what I want to overlay this over to is a couple of other things. So this is actually another graph, which actually shows so let's look at what this graph shows. It says software development jobs IT operations, and job postings as a whole. So very first, the trends here have actually followed every single job out there. So this is all jobs posted on Indeed in the United States. So all jobs saw a huge spike during this time when interest rates were really low. And then it's seen a decline as interest rates have risen. Now, has software development, grown at a somewhat different rate since then? And let's expand this out here a little bit. You've seen that everything's flattened out, a lot in jobs as well as everything. But let's zoom this into just 2024 for a minute and kind of look at what this year's looked like. So if you look at this year, software development jobs definitely have been on a small decline, but we're going to talk about why here, because I think I'm going to point out some pretty interesting statistics while the entire job market has actually dropped. So the entire job market has dropped from their 121 index down to 110. So we've seen an 11% decrease during that same time. Whereas on software development, it's dropped from 74 to 67. So less than the 11%. So jobs overall has actually fallen faster than software development. So that's one of the other things to note here too, is in 2024 alone, we've actually seen software development jobs fall at a slower rate than the entire jobs market entirely. So a couple of things to note here as we start to look into a lot of people who look at this this graph and immediately zoom out and say, oh my gosh, software development jobs are going to die. Yeah, no, this is the definition of a bubble bursting, and this bubble was caused by low interest rates. Now, that's the very first thing that I'm going to point out in this, because I think that's one of the very first things to keep in mind as we dive into the next part of this topic, because it's not just that, so it was following the general economic curve of everything, not just jobs. But here's another reason that it feels like software development jobs are shrinking. They're evolving. They're not actually shrinking. So the interesting things about this graph is that roles like AI engineering, machine learning specialists, cloud computing developer have taken center stage. These aren't new jobs. They're just rebranding and specialized roles that emerge from the umbrella of software developer. So remember, software developer in air quotes, right? Indeed, that Indeed graph is only showing software developer. So these other jobs of AI engineer, machine learning, and cloud computing developer, which all of us developers know actually is still just a software developer, just with a different name, right? So, or a different specialty, I should say. So if you're in tech, it means that you've got to stay ahead of the learning curve right now, because that's what's happening. These jobs aren't dying. They're just transforming. It's easy to get caught up in the hype of job loss, right? And even my title in the YouTube is going to have brought you here to listen to this because everybody's hitting this hype of job loss, right? But the reality is that the demand for tech talent has simply just shifted. Companies are prioritizing roles that align with emerging technologies, from AI to cloud infrastructure. Developers, this is your cue to upskill and stay relevant. The job aren't disappearing. It's evolving into something more exciting. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, let us help you out here at Startup Pack. Our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. So check out startuppack.com/Spencer because we can help you out. Now, if you zoom out and look at that data, software development jobs have remained fairly static, as I showed you, right? The hiring boom was an anomaly, not the norm. So what you were seeing now is a return to steady, sustainable growth. So again, remember, the job growth dropped over 11% over this year. So far year to date, job growth from Indeed has dropped 11%, where software development has dropped only 7%. That means that software development has actually seen a 4% less drop than regular jobs. So it means people in software development have lost their jobs less than people in other jobs. So developers, don't let the headlines fool you. This is just a healthy correction. The demand for tech talent remains strong, especially in niche areas like cybersecurity, DevOps, and of course, as everybody's hearing right now, AI. So let's go back to our graphs here for a second, because I love to show this and point this out as we go through this. So again, as we look back at this job growth, you're going to see that this year, we've seen that 11% drop from here, right? So 121 on the top line, the bottom number there on the graph, to 110. That's an 11% drop. Development has gone from 74 down to 67. That's only a 7% drop, right? So 4% less overall. Now, IT as a whole has really kind of stayed pretty stable, right? All IT operations, which we know as developers, you got to have IT operations, right? So 87 to 81. 81.4. So you're seeing that this is only a 6% drop. So again, IT operations is actually seeing even less. So these have stayed relatively static in a really volatile market. And that's super important to understand as we talk about this shift, right? Because jobs aren't just like, they're not going away, they're shifting, right? And that's the other thing to remember. In this scary graph that everybody keeps looking at is just for software developer, jobs that have the title of software developer. So if your job posting says artificial intelligence engineer or AI engineer or machine learning engineer or big data engineer, these artificial intelligence and machine learning are driving some of the most exciting opportunities in tech right now. And we all know that. These roles require the same foundational skill as a software developer, but with a focus on algorithms, data, and automation, and LLMs, right? If you're already a developer, transitioning to AI and ML is easier than you think. And I think everybody who's worked with this knows this. So entrepreneurs, this is where the next wave of innovation will come from. And you can see this trend, right? So if you want to follow trends, this is a huge trend shift and it's showing this. Now, cloud computing is really taking over, of course. I can't find very many people who even want to deploy onto on-prem, and that's a good thing anymore. Another big shift in the dominance of cloud computing. Companies are migrating their operations from platforms like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. I here like to use DigitalOcean, right? Shout out to DigitalOcean. No paid advertisement there. Just that's who I use. I've used them for over a decade. Love them. Way cheaper, way better to use, and you actually get help if you need help, other than unlike AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. But these demands are creating a surge in demand for cloud engineers. The other thing about it is even people who have sensitive data that don't want to put it into the public cloud, I see a lot of people who are building on-prem cloud or their own cloud servers. So they'll host the cloud, the servers in a data center and then host them in a cloud-like way. So developers, learning cloud infrastructure isn't optional anymore. It's essential. And the silver line is these skills are in high demand and command top salaries. So a little hint to you developers who are out there looking for a job. Saying you're a cloud computing engineer, if you genuinely are, I'm not suggesting that you just make a title change, but if you've been working with AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud for a decade, like most of us have, then you might look at changing your title to cloud computing engineer instead of software developer, right? These are hiring different. And let me show you some other graphs around this to prove this point, because this is a massive thing. So huge shout out. I'm going to call out the author here in just a second. Huge shout out to the author of these articles, because this was super great to find. Let me get these up here. So found these awesome articles, and this is both by the same authors. So huge shout out to, and the link is down below, to Sarah Rittenhouse. Like these were awesome. So, she says, if you've been paying attention, you've seen AI shake up the tech world. Obviously, right? We've all seen that. So this is what everybody's seeing and crying that the sky is falling, right? From September to November, these are the drops that she's showing in all software development jobs, full-time on-site jobs, remote, etc., right? So when it just looks for software developer, and I'm doing that in quotes on purpose, that's what they're seeing. But she says this isn't the case. The jobs are just evolving into the next generation of software development work by adding new skill sets to new job titles. So AI, ML, and cloud computing engineers are the new names for software developers. So as she goes into this, now when she includes those into her post, check this out. So cloud computing engineer, this is talking just from September to November, 1,000 to 2,600. That's like more than double, right? AI product manager, so this is even talking to you product managers out there, 700 to almost 3,000, right? Cloud solution architect, 700 to 2,500. ML engineer, AI solutions architect, right? See this growth. This is not just, these aren't just happen chance, right? So when you actually take the consistent data in here, you can actually see that old reliable, right? If you look at cybersecurity, database, and full stack developer. So I think the interesting thing that's other interesting about this is software developer, in quotes, now is really full stack developer, which is fantastic because here at Startup Hack, what we train is full stack developers. That's what our coding bootcamp does, is we teach how to become a full stack developers. So here's some of the good news. Experts predict a strong resurgence in tech hiring by 2025 as companies adapt to new technologies and economic conditions stabilize. We'll see a resurgence in demand for skilled developers. This isn't just speculation. It's backed by this data that you have right in front of you, right? This is still growing. The demand for these development is just changing its name, right? So we're just seeing a huge shift in what people are looking for by name, right? So again, you got to be plugged into the market if you're looking for jobs. If you still are going to try to put your resume as the same thing that you had a decade ago and still put software developer and think that you're going to be demanding the highest salaries and being sought after, you got to stay up to date on this, right? So, and by the way, if you're scaling your tech stack and it feels overwhelming, Startup Hack is here to help. We specialize in optimizing and connecting systems for companies so you can focus on what matters most, your customers and your business. Visit startuphack.com/Spencer to learn how we can help your business thrive. Now, upskilling here is key. So if you're a software developer who's been doing the same thing for 10 years and you're still building your stuff and still deploying to a Windows server, man, the biggest takeaway to all of this is you've got to upskill, and it is non-negotiable right now. So developers, if you're not learning new frameworks, tools, and technologies, you're going to fall behind. The good news is that there's more resources than ever to help you stay ahead. Startup Hack is one of the other is a great boot camp to help you get up to speed really quick. We do our boot camps in under 3 months. You come out as a full stack. There's that word, right? Full stack software developer, understanding Google Cloud, or Azure. And we also train on React as well as Angular. So you're getting the whole stack. Now, speaking of upskilling, boot camps are one of the fastest and most effective ways to pivot into new roles. At Startup Hack, our licensed coding boot camp focused on training developers in highly demand skills. So from full stack development to cloud engineering. We take people with zero experience and prepare them for tech careers in just 3 months. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be a senior in 3 months. I'm saying they're going to be ready to dive in as an intern in 3 months. So developers, this isn't just education. It will transform you, as you're seeing from this job market. Another overlooked fact is the diversity of opportunities in fintech. From startups to Fortune 500 companies, the demand for this tech talent continues to grow. It's just changed its name a little bit. So developers, don't limit yourself to traditional tech roles. Explore opportunities in healthcare, finance, and even nonprofits, and make sure you understand the full stack as well as cloud engineering, as well as ML and AI. So one of the amazing things here at Startup Hack is we've figured out how to let you earn while you learn. If you're tired of a 4-year grind and student loans to get a degree, at Startup Hack we offer a faster, more affordable path to becoming a software developer. Our Earn to Learn program helps you to gain hands-on experience and start learning through a paid internship all in just 3 months. So you can earn while you learn, and the program cost gets covered for most qualifying students. You can learn at your own pace. There's no tech experience needed, and you get one-on-one tutoring and to support you. We aren't just throwing you at a course and saying, figure it out. This is in-demand skills, as you've seen from what I've talked about today. We teach technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. It's also a high-paying job. Graduates with 2 years of experience, on average right now, are earning over $80,000 per year. Also, majority of our students are working at home. We have very few of our students who are working on-prem. So now this gives you real experience with work with hands-on projects. Also gets you into a paid internship with 2 years of once you have hands-on experience. So to wrap this all up, the future is bright. Software development jobs aren't dying. They're just evolving. The industry is adapting, and we've got to make sure that we're adapting with it. Software developers can't become the dinosaurs. We've seen this with IBM. We've seen it with Intel. The dinosaurs are going to get buried by the meteor that's going to come and hit you. So if you take a look at this, cloud and AI job increased 24% from about 16,000 to over 19,000 posts from 9/7 to 9/23. That's in less than a month, went from 16 to 19,000. So during this time frame, AI engineer/developer up 8%. AI research scientist did go down, which I was kind of glad on this because who needs a scientist? Start developing, right? So I was okay with this number going down. Cloud computing engineer up 5%. AI product manager up 232%. Cloud solution architect up 149%, ML engineer up 100%. So do you see the trend here? And again, huge shout out again to Sarah Rittenhouse. Go subscribe to her. She's fantastic. These articles have been amazing. So huge shout out to her. And I put the links down below. So make sure you go and hit those. So in short, if you're not learning these newer technologies, that's why the job market might be leaving you behind. So make sure that you jump into these, because this is super important to make sure that we're understanding. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love to have a great discussion. So make sure you leave a comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding bootcamp, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out, because we'd love to help. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer, and we can catch you guys next time. Want to become a software developer but don't want to spend 4 years in college and rack up massive student loan debts? Think you need technical expertise to get started? Welcome to Startup Hack, a better way to start your software career without student loans and years without income. One-on-one tutoring is included, so you never get stuck and have guidance through the whole process. No technical experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace and in your own space. Startup Hack has worked with local state agencies in your area to make it so that qualifying students can get the program costs covered entirely, and students can start earning while they learn.
Hi, I'm Jacob, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack. One thing setting Startup Hack apart from any other coding bootcamp was the quality of one-on-one tutoring available. All of the projects that we did were challenging and thought-provoking, but left me feeling very accomplished and very prepared for my first job that I was offered just days after completing the program.
Hello, I'm Tom, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack, and I must say that it was an excellent experience. The tutors is what set this course apart from others. They were knowledgeable, experienced, and always available to help provide me with guidance and support. Do not hesitate to take advantage of this affordable and efficient software development course.
Complete our 3-month coding bootcamp, gain hands-on experience, and land a paid internship. With 2 years of experience, on average, our graduates are making over $80,000 per year. The 3-month program includes technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. No debt, just a quick path to earning. Check out startuphack.com to code your future and start today.